Hello, everyone. Welcome to Gen AI Talk in 10, brought to you by SS&C Blue Prism. I'm Brad. He's Satish. So, Satish, let's gaze into our crystal ball and let's talk about how we see Gen AI evolving in the coming years.
Absolutely, Brad. Couple things, two, three things I'll mention that are top of mind for me. Right? We keep hearing the word agentic, right? So, while agentic seems a little far-fetched, where, today, if you think about AI agents running around your enterprise and autonomously doing work without any supervision, that's what the vision of agentic is, that you'll have all these autonomous AI agents, right? Doesn't seem practical right now. And it's true. Now, selfishly, I can say that Blue Prism probably has the best approach of incrementally working towards agentic than saying, I'm going to go, nothing to agentic in an area which will never fly, right? So,
Right.
I think the whole idea of handling unstructured data, but also being autonomous digital workers, if you will, essentially AI agents which can reason, plan, and act, in an autonomous fashion. That's going to be the future. We all know that, and we provide a really nice way to do that, right? That's number one. The other thing I think we'll see significant changes in is industry-specific innovation, right? Whether it's pharmaceuticals and healthcare or financial services, right? For example, AI-enabled drugs where clinical trials will be much, much quicker, not 10 years like it used to take, right? And the kind of personalization that might happen in healthcare. I'm just dealing with one industry, right? Just look at that, right? Personalization at scale. We talk about that when it comes to AI with automation, but think about what impact that could have in a space like healthcare. The third thing I'll share is an interesting one, right? The question is, how should our existing business models evolve, right? So take, for example, the dominant business models we talk about today are B2B and B2C. But now throw into the mix the IoT, which is things, right? Things are physical products that can have some sensors and are relaying data, etc., right? And then agents we talked about, right? So think about what kind of business models can come about, because we are no longer talking about B2B and B2C, but we are talking about B2T and B2A and I don't know, T2T and T2A, right? You can make up any kind of acronyms, three-letter acronyms. But it's interesting, right? So take B2T, for example. I drive a Tesla, and so I could see how I want to park the car, but I let my Tesla talk to the parking space operator, and the business is offering my Tesla a parking space, and I don't have to deal with it. I just let the Tesla drive itself to the parking space, but the business is talking to the thing which is the car, right? In this case.
Right.
Or you could also envision, where, security cameras, T2B, right? Security cameras offering images that are not, there's something wrong with what it saw within a product or service. Or it can send images of what's happening to news outlets without any humans.
Right.
Did it happen? T2B, right? Thing to business. Sure. You could see that it's an easy extension. So one last, maybe one or two examples. B2A, right? Businesses offering value to agents, right? Where agents can be trained as, let's say, virtual nurses from data, right? And now you're using these agents to make healthcare better, right? And so you could do things like that, right? So some incredible possibilities in how business models will evolve, how we will engage with businesses or things or agents right in the future. I think it's an exciting future, and we should expect all these things to happen.
Yeah, those are really great points. The IoT point in particular is interesting to me because companies have been trying to capture the promise of IoT for so long. Anything you can put an IP address on, can be part of what, you're gathering information from, and then how do you leverage that? And I think Gen AI could be the key to making that happen finally, and being able to process that massive amounts of information, because it's so powerful in terms of aggregating and summarizing and drawing observations or insights from data that's constantly changing. Yeah. And IoT, that's the essence of what it's all about. So a few things I'll add to your list. If I just look out, I think SLMs are going to become more prominent than large language models. The big LLMs are great, and they're not going away anytime soon. I think all of us will continue to use them personally or professionally. But when companies are trying to solve specific problems, and you talked about industry specific, really diving deep there, I think SLMs are going to be more optimal in those scenarios. And we're already seeing that. We're seeing SLMs proliferate at an incredible pace. And so I think for cost reasons, for privacy reasons, for more industry, specificity or integration with local context data, companies are going to be using SLMs more and more and more. And so that's something I see happening. There's also this trend now that's pretty recent, which is to integrate Gen AI into search. So ChatGPT has already added search recently, and people are starting to play around with that. Google has even come out and said that AI assisted or AI driven search is something they want to do. They want to possibly move away from the ad driven, the advertiser incented search results, and bring a search experience that is much better, that is more driven by Gen AI. So I think this is yet another area. It's really untapped, but could really take off in the coming years. So I look forward to some innovation there. And then a final one is I would say around edge computing. And as the hardware side of this Gen AI spectrum starts to really get more and more refined, we're seeing this already. Companies, startups that are putting 3 billion parameters of data on a small chip, and so you can have a small language model that is on this chip, and then that can give you a Gen AI capability that you can do different things with. Putting the AI closer to the business problem that it's solving, I think that's where we're going to continue to see a lot more interesting things coming out in the market from startups.
We are starting to see some of that happen already, right? The whole SLM idea, the whole idea of things moving on to smaller and smaller devices. When you see that, in your Apple Intelligence, right, you have an SLM running on your iPhone.
Right.
I think if I pull back a little bit and say, okay, what does this mean overall, right? I see a world, and this was very apparent to me this past weekend. I was speaking to my son, and he's 15 years old. And, he was saying he was interested in learning. He's a big fan of programming. And so he was asking me, is there any value in learning Python? And I said, why do you ask? And he said, well, these days with LLMs generating Python language, right? Don't know what that means, Dad. I don't know if there's any point in learning all these languages, because I spend years learning this. I get good at it, and lo and behold, AI will do my job, and I won't have that role anymore.
Yeah.
The question really to me is, in the future, as I look at the crystal ball, how does workflow and job role change? What will we be doing as humans in the future?
Yeah.
The integration of Gen AI and RPA is interesting because AI and automation are the two biggest things. But how will jobs change? How will roles change? How will IT and business work closer together, perhaps? Partnerships, right? Because the lines are blurred now. With the democratization of AI, anybody can use AI. Anybody can use automation. So what does that mean, right? So I think we are in for an exciting future.
Yeah.
It will be never boring, I think, for sure.
Yes. Yeah. And there's a whole slew of things that will happen that we're not even anticipating. That's the even more exciting part. All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining us on this episode of Gen AI Talk in 10.